Hey guys, welcome back to Fish. Today we're going to be doing a bit of a different video. I'm going to be providing an in-depth analysis of GoNNER. If you do like the video, feel free to click like and subscribe. First of all, should you buy GoNNER? No. And here's why. To start it off, this is by no means a bad or poorly made game. The visuals are simple and pleasing, the combat is satisfying, and the gameplay loop is enough to warrant a fair few hours of gameplay. If that is all the case, then why shouldn't you buy it? The main character, Ick, is on a journey to reach his friend Sarah, a huge whale who he meets between stages, and she replenishes his health. Each time he fails, he returns back to the beginning to meet death and switch out any items. The story is present, but doesn't really hold any purpose apart from explaining why you're this small character walking through this mysterious world. GoNNER's charm comes from its simple aesthetics, which creates a really chill setting while you blast through enemies. The best thing this game does is to show you how to play using simple color cues. Your bullets are yellow, enemies are red, and interactables are blue. As soon as you hop into the beautiful world of GoNNER, you're ready to go. Presented with nothing more than a gun, health, and ability, you brave the depths and travel through the color-streaked worlds to reach Sarah. Your progression through the world is marked with a scoring system, which distinguishes you from others on the global leaderboard. It's interesting to see a roguelike game incorporate this form of scoring, but it leaves you striving to beat your next high score. The world is scattered with enemies, and enough killed in a row grants you a glyph, the in-game currency, which can be used to purchase health, ammunition, or abilities throughout your run. Apart from buying health, there was never really any reason to switch guns or abilities because the limited variation between each world meant that I could get away with an unchanged kit from the beginning of the run. Although the visuals are interesting, the gameplay is very repetitive, and can seem almost tedious after just a few runs. The combat is basic and never has any major variations, and the enemies only come in two categories, flying or walking. Soon after the initial amazement of procedural generation, the game seems to lose its touch with world design, and on multiple occasions I've encountered huge rooms with no enemies or small rooms with way too many. As fun as running around and shooting stuff is, it's not going to keep you invested for very long. There are some clear flaws with this game. It is sometimes very laggy, and the frame rate drops from 60 to 30 if I blast a room with 10 or more enemies. This makes it hard or even impossible to be able to maneuver through attacks when the game's frames are moving at a random rate. Another huge bummer for this game is that so many times I've been running and shot through enemies. This makes a huge impact on slowing the game down because it means I can't be reliant on running and gunning, which is an essential strategy to score combos. Shooting through enemies is where I take a shot and the bullet does nothing but just pass through the enemy. It happens often enough for me to be cautious every time I fire my gun, and it ruins the chill vibe of the game. This game is difficult, but its difficulty is generally very structured and can be beaten with skill. When annoying things like this happen over and over again, it makes the difficulty seem cheap, even though it may be unintentional. However, a couple of bugs doesn't ruin the game, and it's generally fun to play. This game is perfect for putting on some music and playing in the background, but not much more than that. What this game does really well, along with its outstanding visuals, is littering secrets everywhere. Speedruns of this game are vastly different to a regular gameplay, and the later you get in the run, the more mysterious and engaging it is. This creates a very satisfying loop where the game introduces new challenging enemies but leaves you to conquer them on your own. Each world has a unique focus, whether it be related to the enemies, the layout, or something totally different. The design makes the game feel new as you progress further into it, but sadly limits the gameplay for players who aren't as invested. Repeating the few stages over and over again means dealing with the same mechanics and visuals over and over again. World generation means that you can be overloaded with enemies, which can lead you to lose a heart, which can possibly end the future of your run. The element of luck in this game seems too overused for it to advertise itself based off its difficult skill-based gameplay. Luck in roguelikes is something I'm normally okay with to an extent. A really good example of this is Risk of Rain 2 and its stage system. Instead of using random world generation similar to GoNNER, the developer of Risk of Rain 2, Hopu Games, created handcrafted levels and randomly picked which one to pair with the stage that you were on. This prevented the player from being overloaded with random stages that aren't as intuitive or fun to play, whilst leaving in the enticing element of luck. This game has really good visuals, a nice soundtrack, and normally very satisfying gameplay. So, that begs the question, why should you not buy this game? Firstly, it's shallow, especially for a roguelike, and progressing through the initial levels without any form of variation gets really boring and repetitive. After a few runs, if a player isn't skilled or focused enough, this game can easily become boring because it doesn't present you with a change of scenery fast enough. Your run really starts to get going once you reach the third stage, and by that time you could have invested multiple hours into trying over and over again to reach that point. This problem could be fixed with shorter stages, or it could remain to be an element of the game. This problem really just comes down to whoever is playing it though. If spending long amounts of time in a single run seems enticing to you, don't let me stop you from buying this game. Secondly, the game is done. This reason is much more broad. In comparison to roguelikes now, they're getting consistent content patches which constantly expands the game and keeps old players entertained while encouraging new players to join. GoNNER feels so empty once completed, and there's no motivation to beat your high score. Once it's done, and there isn't any more to it. This isn't necessarily a bad thing. It's nice to have a conclusion to an experience, but it's disappointing to reach the end of the story. At the risk of sounding nitpicky, I have another comparison. Many of the viewers may be thinking, yeah, great, but all games have an end. That's just how games work. One of my favorite games, Nuclear Throne, eradicates this feeling of emptiness after its conclusion with a strategy many games use called looping. The game has a beginning and an end, but it has a post-end game, which includes infinite level generation and tons of new secrets and characters. GoNNER has the potential to incorporate some kind of looping system, but it sadly won't be included due to the finality of the game. The last update of the game was released as a free DLC in 2018, which received some mixed reviews. This seemed to put an end to GoNNER. Overall, this is a good game. Its visuals are the highlight for me, and the first few hours were very fun. But after a while, this game just didn't really do much more for me. Buy this game if you're really into grinding or you just want something to tune out to. Don't buy this game if you're anywhere in between. Thanks for watching this video. This is a bit of a new structure or format for me. Feel free to click like and click subscribe. And, click dislike if you didn't like the video. If you have anything that contrasts or goes against my beliefs and my opinions of this game, feel free to comment down below. This is all totally opinionated, so I'm not saying anything is this just exactly to its finality, and, have a good day. Thanks.